G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. How are we all doing? Now, today is a little bit different, mainly because I'm sick and can barely move because I also screwed up my neck. So I can't look to the right, and every few seconds my nose wants to leak like a faucet. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I've been asked a few times about what bikes I'm looking at in the future as a potential upgrade, so I thought it's about time I finally start speaking about some of the ones that are on my radar. Now, there's still a few in there, but I've sort of brought that number down slightly. So we'll start off with the first one because I think I'm a big fan of the previous model, and that is of the Ducati Street Fighter V2, not the V4. I have no reason or need for the V4. I think the V2 is better anyway in terms of the riding I prefer. And it comes in a really, really nice storm green, which I think is a very good fit for the channel. It makes 153 horsepower, but it does hit all that torque at 9,000 RPM, alright? But it hits all the horsepower at about 10,750-ish, okay? It's a great motorcycle, but I think it is a little bit much in terms of both cost and usability. Now, I didn't really care for the new model, the 890cc Street Fighter, but the more I learn about it, the more I'm interested in it, because much like the Harley, it hits all of that torque at 3,000 RPM, which for the kind of riding I'm interested in is significantly more exciting. So if a miracle happens in terms of funding, I might actually be tempted to go down and become a pastor boy because, well, but they look really nice. I actually looked at the Panigale V2s and they're sexy too, but they toast your nuts a little bit too much. But yeah, I don't know if that's a bad thing, because in Melbourne it gets pretty cold quite a lot of the time. So, who knows, if all goes well, I might go for a Street Fighter V2 in the green, or maybe even the current gen one, because the torque is actually really, really appealing. Much like the MT-09, it's up there in terms of fun. Alright, so that's bike number one. Number two, one I was looking at, is a CB1000R, not the Hornet, the previous Cafe Neo Cafe looking thing. Now look, it makes about 143 horsepower. It's got 104 newton meters of torque, and it makes it at about 8,250. It's a nice looking bike. It's funky to a lot of people. The mirrors are garbage, they're going straight away. But the power delivery, from what I've seen, the looks, they're all gorgeous. The black edition, the single-sided swing arm. There's something about it that, I don't know, it really appeals to me, even though a lot of people aren't a fan of it. But guess what? I don't care. That's the joys of motorcycles. I like it. You don't have to like it. That's the choice, alright? The headlight's nice to me, although from my experience, the headlights that are LEDs are not as good as the old school one, but they still shoot further. Like the Honda Rebel's headlight's kind of ass. But I think the seat's comfortable, especially even with passengers. The stock exhaust has got to go, but the rest of it, gorgeous looking device, alright? So, gorgeous looking device. I think maybe there's room for this one. Alright, so that's bike number two on the hit list. There's a few, like I said. Number three is really up there, and I've definitely talked about it recently, and that is the FTR 1200. Now, it doesn't matter which version it is, not the Rally. Everyone but the Rally to me is interesting, right? My favourite one is the Carbon, but the one with the red trellis frame and the big white Indian logo, because that's the one that I fell in love with when I first saw it. It doesn't have the biggest fuel tank. It's 12.9 litres or 3.4 gallons, okay? But it has a 1200cc liquid-cooled V-twin, and it's a 60-degree V-twin. It's got torque for days. I don't do huge rides anyway, so I'm not too scared about the fuel capacity, although it's a little bit of a turn-off. But I don't think I care enough to the point where it's a problem. It makes 120 horsepower. It's 230-ish kilos. It's a big, thick boy. It's very American, but it looks really nice. It's got plenty of oomph. The exhaust needs to go as well, because the stock exhaust is kind of idiotic to me. I like a low-swept exhaust, so that's got to go. But the big engine, lots of torque, plenty of horsepower, and it's, look, for the kind of riding I do, I'm happy with the stoplight to stoplight levels of punch. Now, it's a little bit tall. I've sat on it before. It's not too tall for me. It's a nice sort of level of tallness. I think the exhaust note is great. If you can get the Carbon model, I think that'll be like peak. So, I did look at a Gen 2 MT-09 SP as well. They're nice. They're fun. I think they ride really well, but they're not the most appealing bike to me. if I do end up going down the MT-09 or MT-10 route, it's not my first choice, but it's purely for the riding experience, not so much the appeal of the bike itself, because they don't look the nicest to me, whereas the FTR is a gorgeous bike to me. But it's about the riding experience, so I don't know, but the FTR, it's up there, and for good reason. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous bike, looks fantastic, sounds great, and everything about it to me is fantastic. The torque is the thing that really wraps my head around it. Alright, now, going on to something a little bit more random in terms of choices, and that's a Ducati 899. Now, I might have the chance to ride a 959 soon, but we'll see how that goes in the future. The 899 is plenty. It's 148 horsepower, which is, brother, it's plenty. It's a hot running bike, but there's something about that being that mid-range little Ducati. It comes in two nice colours. My mate used to have that grey-white colour, but that's the guy who had that horrible accident, so unfortunately I don't get to see that bike. We'll give it a go. But in the red, it's a gorgeous look. Its exhausts are a little expensive. It is a Ducati, so the costs of the servicing and all that is a bit ugh, which is why the new Street Fighter is a bit more appealing with valves as opposed to like spring valves that are Desmo valves. Because I don't want to spend all that money, brother. Like, I love the idea of a V4 SP too, but I hate the dry clutch and I hate the fact that it's a Ducati cost, alright? Paying the luxury pass tax is the only thing that's a little bit of a turn-off, okay? But besides that, it's a gorgeous looking bike. It handles really well. It's got everything I need except the fuel gauge, I'm pretty sure. Where the new Ducati has one, actually. So, headlights look great. Power delivery is fine. It's fast enough for what I do. I don't need a bike that hits Mark Jesus in the blink of an eye. So, in terms of that, I couldn't be happier. Now, the last two bikes might come as a surprise if you've been listening to me lately, and that is back to the cruisers. So number one is my favourite cruiser of all time, and that would be the Indian Chief Dark Horse. They'd be the 116 because we don't get the 111 in Australia, so we don't care about that little engine one. It's a 1890cc engine, which is huge. 1.9 litres V-twin. It is sounds nice. It feel good. This thing has an ungodly amount of torque. I'm trying to find the figures here. It's producing 120 pound-feet of torque, which I don't know in Newton meters. I think it's about 160? Yeah, 163 Newton meters of torque. I think it only makes about 87 horsepower, but it's a cruiser. It doesn't need that much, but god damn. That thing looks nice. I do like the tech pack on it. I do think it needs to be a little bit faster on the boot up, but the Indian Chief is the cruiser that I look at and go, oh shit, that thing is sexy. Exhaust has got to be changed like always. Cams would be a good idea, but they come in a really nice bunch of colours, and something about it grabs my eye really well. Alright, and last but not least is actually the Harley Street Bob. Not because I rode one, alright, I liked it well before that, but I think Harleys have a bit more of the longevity side of things. So Indians, Chiefs, these, especially these generation ones, they're still relatively new, so I don't know how good their stupid long-term rideability is. Whereas the Harley, obviously, well, they're Harley, they've got their own histories, but there's that many people who own them and use them that there's a bunch of aftermarket for it, there's a whole bunch of mods, there's a whole bunch of ways to fix things if things do go wrong, so it is supported in that aftermarket side of things. Plus, I just like the way it felt, except for the indicators, like I said. So, the new Harley Street Bob, I think, has a terrible looking speedometer, whereas the old one has that little digidash thing that you saw in the video, and I think it looked way better than the new model. So the 2025 one is not on my radar, but those are sort of what I'm interested in. If you have any other suggestions, or if you own any of these bikes and you're willing to let me give it a crack for a video, let me know down below. Otherwise, that is everything for today. I do hope you enjoyed, and I thought it'd be interesting because, you know, people ask, so I thought I'd talk about it. Otherwise, that's pretty much everything that there is to talk about, so I do hope you've enjoyed the video. Take it easy, keep it cheesy, and as always, peace. Bye!